everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. This is the Brittany React Show, and on this show we talk all things entertainment news and movie news. Today we actually have a pretty good stream to go over. Just kind of a collection of news stories from the past couple of days. First of all, we still have to talk about Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds. He seems to be very, very pissed off about all the leaks that have come out about this movie, and he's still not done talking about it. He's trolling people now, so we're going to talk about that. We also have a couple of other mini stories to go over. Not huge ones, but I thought they were at least big enough to talk about. And then at the very end of the stream, I will give you my The Boy and the Heron review, the latest Miyazaki film. I did just see it last night. I did also just post an out-of-theater reaction. So if you don't know what I thought about the movie, you can always just check that, then come back to this. But I do want to say hi to everyone. Hi, Prince. Hi, Josh Loves Movies. Hi, Natanya. Hi, Some Person Skywalking. Hi, Shelly Lee. Hi, Prince. Hi, Scorpio Shadow. Hi, Nicholas Wilson. Hi, Arvin. Hi, Jonathan. And hi, Natanya. And thank you to each and every one of you who comes to my show each and every day. I deeply appreciate it. It does look like Prince just posted my YouTube short in the chat, so if you do want to check the short, just click the link right there. Thank you so much, Prince. I want to also say just thank you to Prince and Natanya for being my chat moderators. I genuinely appreciate you. All right, let's just get straight to entertainment news. So as I've been talking about, it's just like, hey, it seems like, is Disney watching me, or am I just like dead on the money about all this stuff? But anyway, Disney is reportedly considering adding shopping and gaming components to Disney Plus. Did I not just tell you guys like yesterday that I think this is the future of what Disney's going to do with Disney Plus? Did I not just say that I thought streaming services would start adding a bunch of video games? So now it seems like Disney waited no time to confirm that. I don't know if maybe it's all the GTA hype that got to them, or maybe it's the fact that Netflix is adding GTA games that made them finally decide to do this. But here's where I think the future of Disney Plus is going. I think Disney Plus is going to become like the one-stop shop for like literally everything Disney. It's not just going to be a streaming service. It's also going to be like a shopping app. It's going to be a gaming app. They're probably going to tie it to the park somehow. Like you'll probably be able to buy park tickets there. I think Disney Plus is just going to be what Disney is as a company, but online. So I think Disney Plus is going to become the everything app. But I think it's so funny how I was just talking about how all these streaming services are probably going to add games, and then lo and behold, Disney announces, well, they're considering, they haven't officially announced it, but I bet they're going to do it. But it's funny that this news came out so soon after I mentioned it. Okay, Scorpio Shadow is not surprised at this point, right? Scorpio Shadow says, I am scared for the EA now. I know. I feel like the EA-Disney merger possibility is getting more and more likely by the day. Bob saw my video. I know, Bob Iger watching my lives. Hi, Bob. Everyone thinks they're taking notes. It's very funny. I think I'm just dead on the money. I feel like I cover all this stuff in the media landscape well enough that I feel like I have a pretty good like idea of just like what the media landscape is like right now. And I saw this coming from a mile away. In fact, I predicted this back in 2020, well before I had a YouTube channel or any content creation at all. I made like a whole list of stuff that I predicted for 2030, and this was one of them. So I predicted this years ago. But anyway, any thoughts on this? Anyone excited for potential games on Disney Plus? What kind of games would you actually want to see on the service? Scorpio Shadow says, Bob, don't sue us. America Chavez says, how do you feel about Godzilla -1 beating every Hollywood movie released this year? Well, they haven't released them beat them box office wise, but critically, I think they have definitely blown everyone out of the water. And I'm so glad. We actually are going to talk about Godzilla -1 in a second, because it is doing better than expected. I still wish it was doing a lot better, but yeah, critically, it's so much better than like every other Hollywood movie I've seen this year. I am the future teller, right? You guys come from me for my accurate future predictions, I guess. But anyway, moving on to the next topic. But speaking of video games again, there's already a Blade game coming from Bethesda. So there's another Marvel game you guys might want to watch. It seems like this game might be coming out before the movie does because they haven't even started filming this movie. Very, very interesting. I might play it. I don't know. I have like a long list of games to get to at this point, but if I have time, maybe I'll play it. I don't know. Anyone interested in playing a Blade video game? Or are there any Marvel characters you wish had a video game? Oh, Prince, you don't even have Disney Plus anymore. Well, yeah, they keep going up in price. I don't blame you at all. I told you guys I technically canceled mine. Prototype says, I don't trust Disney to make video games well anymore. Kingdom Hearts only works because they let the game devs do their thing. Yeah, I don't know how Disney's culture is going to match with video game culture. I feel like they are very diametrically opposed. I don't think Disney's foray into video games is going to be super successful off the top, but I think if they want to survive long term, they gotta figure something out. Oh no, Prototype says, why Bethesda? Scorpio Shadow says, I watched the stream last night and I'm kind of interested in playing Blade. Okay, Blade Runner. There's a Blade Runner game? Or are you talking about this Blade game? Blade and Blade Runner are two separate things. Josh Loves Movies says, so excited for the Blade and Wolverine game. Oh yeah, there's also a Wolverine game. Lots of Marvel games coming out. Hopefully they are better received and do a lot better than the Avengers video game, because that did not do well at all. But anyway, moving on. So yes, now that we're coming down to the end of the year, people are starting to release their top 10 best films of the year list. So I wanted to give you guys the American Film Institute, which is supposed to be like a very prestigious institution. This is what they think are the 10 best films of the year. So we have American Fiction, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, May December, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I have a couple of thoughts to this list. First of all, Godzilla -1 should be on this list. I think it's better than all of them. Second of all, I actually haven't seen all of them. You guys know I go to the movies like almost every weekend. I love going to the movies. It's a huge hobby for me, also because I have to talk about these movies now for my channel. And I've only seen 3 things on this list. I don't know how that's possible. I swear, I know I've seen way more movies than like the average person does. And yet still I've only seen 3 movies on this list. That's definitely on me. There's a couple of these I do want to see. Like I still want to see Killers of the Flower Moon. I want to see American Fiction. I don't think I'm going to watch Poor Things, but I do want to see Past Lives. So I want to see a couple of these movies, but like I have to be honest, as someone who I'm trying to juggle like seeing all these movies plus having a job plus a life and like you gotta juggle everything together. I don't know how the average person is even supposed to see some of these smaller or even mid-sized movies, especially if they're coming out at the same time as other bigger films. It is so easy to miss a lot of these. So I'm like, no wonder no one's seeing smaller films, because like if even I haven't heard of some of these films or couldn't get around to see it just because there's so much else going on at the same time, then no wonder no one else is seeing these movies either. Have you guys seen these films? What do you guys think of this top 10 list? Oh, bye, Blue Gecko Nerd. I will talk about my top 10 next week. That's going to be a whole stream, so look forward to that. Okay, Past Lives and Holdovers is pretty good. I did hear about Past Lives. I'm still curious about that one. I'm going to see it eventually. Mary Lynn Cherry says you haven't heard of half of them. Okay. Scorpio Shadow thinks the Ninja Turtles movie should be on the list. Okay, interesting. You've only watched 2 of them, says Edgeman. Yeah, I would say the average person has probably maybe seen like 2 of these. Or maybe 3, since like Spider-Verse, Oppenheimer, or Barbie were pretty big movies. But yeah, the rest, I would argue, most people probably have never heard of. But anyway, speaking of movies that should have been on the list, at least Godzilla -1 is actually doing pretty well. It's now the highest grossing live-action Japanese film in the US, which is pretty impressive. Plus, since people are talking about it, the word of mouth is starting to spread on this film. They're actually expanding this movie to more theaters this weekend. So if you did get to see this movie last weekend, but you really still want to see it, it sounds like they know that people really like this movie and they plan to keep it in theaters for as long as people want to go see it. So you can still see this movie again this weekend, or if you haven't seen it at all, please go check it out. It is so good. I'm so happy that really the only thing saving this movie is word of mouth, because there was like no marketing for it at all. But word of mouth is so strong that they're expanding it to more theaters. So I think this movie definitely deserves it. I'm very happy for it. Prince wants the Mario movie. This isn't about the 10 most popular movies of the year. This is the American Film Institute's 10 best films of the year. Like, these are the movies I think were like the best films released, not just the most popular. But what do you guys think about Godzilla -1? Did anyone go see the movie after my review? Or is anyone now planning to go see the movie who wasn't going to go watch it? Okay, Scorpio Shadow, you're definitely going to watch it now. Yay! Renaria says, that's great. I'll check my theater again. Yes, go check your theater. Maybe if it wasn't playing before, it might be this weekend. The Free Rocket Man says, if you could compare it to another movie, what would it be? I would say, just from the period drama aspect of it, like the lived in world of just like the World War II era and like the family drama aspect of it in that world, it kind of reminded me of Memoirs of a Geisha, just without Godzilla. If anyone has seen Memoirs of a Geisha, like, add Godzilla to that movie and it kind of is like a similar vibe, at least. I love that movie. Okay, Miss Olsen, you will definitely see it now. All right. Tanya, you have to see it. But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know in case you hadn't seen it. Now you have a chance to. So now let's talk about the finalists for Best Visual Effects at the Oscars, because this has caused quite a bit of controversy, at least online, because they released, if you guys don't know how the Oscars usually works, you have to be considered part of a finalist group of movies to even be considered for nomination. These are not all the movies that have been nominated. These are just the finalists for the single Best Visual Effects category that could be nominated once nominations are actually done. But, as you guys see on this list, one movie stands out that's not on here, and that's Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was not on the short list, amongst 20 films, mind you, for Best Visual Effects at the Oscars. And obviously a lot of Oppenheimer fans are very upset with that. Oh my gosh, DD, thank you so much for the super chat. Genuinely appreciate it. I wanted to apologize for not making it to your streams recently. I will watch them afterwards and continue to love your content. Keep up the great work, Brittany. Oh, thank you so much, DD. It's okay. I know I have a lot of live streams, so I understand. But I appreciate the support and that you want to watch all of them. Deeply appreciate the super chat. This is so great. Thank you, DD. Very appreciate it. Prince is very upset about this. Why is Spider-Verse in visual effects? Shouldn't be the best animated one? Well, I mean, animation and visual effects are kind of the same thing at this point. Going back to this list, I think there's like, I don't know, I think this list is actually quite mixed. Because like, why is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania there, but Oppenheimer isn't? Like, Quantumania had some of the worst visual effects I have ever seen. Like, I thought that movie had some of the worst visual effects for a modern blockbuster. I have to add the qualifier for modern blockbuster, because obviously, like, stuff way back in the day was worse. But, like, for a modern day blockbuster, I thought Quantumania had, like, some of the worst effects I had ever seen, up until I saw The Flash. And The Flash said, hold my beer. So how did Quantumania get on this finalist shortlist here? When you had freaking, like, rolling shots, and you had freaking, what is this dude's face? MODOK and his weird-looking face roaming around. Most of that stuff looks super fake. I never believed for a second the Quantum Realm was a real place, because it all looks so digital and artificial. Sorry for the jump scare, Josh. But I have to use this picture for reference, because how does Quantumania get on the short list, but Oppenheimer doesn't. Now, I get the reason, or at least I get the thinking behind this. I think the reason why I didn't make the finalist short list is because people were like, oh, most of it's practical. There's no CGI in it anyway. But I found this article here from The Hollywood Reporter basically saying, no, there is a lot of visual effects in this movie. We're just really good at hiding it. Like, they're not beating you over the head with the amount of CGI in the film. A lot of it is practical, that's true. But there's still like a good amount of visual effects in it as well. In fact, I read the article and they said that there are over 200 visual effects shots in this movie, including practical effects shots. This includes taking out modern elements from locations as well. So over 200 visual effects shots. That's not nothing. I mean, it's not probably as much as what Quantumania had to deal with, but that's not nothing. And I think the mere fact that people think that there's no CG in this movie at all should just point out the fact that the CG is actually pretty good, because it must blend in super, super well into the environment for people not to even notice. So I do think this is a bit of a snub. But what do you guys think? Angel Barrera, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm pretty sure even they didn't see these movies. I mean, this was a few years ago, but there was actually an expose that came out that said that the majority of people who vote for these Oscars do not see every movie. In fact, there was like a survey that came out or whatever, and like you could actually see people's thoughts as they were like voting on stuff. And for a lot of these categories, like say for the animation category, they were just like, oh, I don't watch animated movies, they're for kids. And like they wouldn't even vote on it. So yeah, a lot of these Oscar Academy voting people do not even watch all of these movies, which sucks. Yeah, MODOK is very goofy. Scorpio Shadow says, I wonder what are the lists for animation awards. Please let's pray that Wish doesn't win. There's no way Wish is going to get nominated for Best Animated Picture. I think the movies that are likely going to get nominated for Best Animation are Spider-Verse, The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, maybe Migration? I don't know, maybe Mario, just because it's something the Academy members have at least heard of. I think those are the ones that will probably get nominated. I highly doubt Wish will get a nomination. It shouldn't, in my opinion. Anyway, Nicholas says, where was the visual effects in Inception then? It won visual effects Oscar for 2010. There's a lot of visual effects shots in Inception. I feel like that movie has more obvious CGI than Oppenheimer does. But anyway, as you guys see from this list, is there anything else that stands out to you that you're like, it should definitely not be there? I mean, maybe the Academy members have already seen Aquaman, because this hasn't even come out yet. Like, why is this in the short list, but Oppenheimer isn't? Is it just because they know it's going to have a lot of CGI in it? I don't know. I'm at least happy Godzilla -1 made the list. Barbie made the list, and that had a lot of practical effects, so I don't know. I do think it's a bit of a slight. I'm very surprised. Shelly Lee says, I want to remind everyone that Barbie was mostly practical effects. Again, that's what I just said. Barbie was mostly practical effects. I mean, there's still a lot of visual effects shots in that too, but like, again, so was Oppenheimer. This makes me feel like maybe this doesn't bode well for Oppenheimer and the rest of the award season. Like maybe the Academy has something against it. I don't know. I'm very shocked by this. But anyway, moving on. So, speaking of Oppenheimer will now be getting a release in Japan. Apparently they were not sure if they were going to release it in Japan, obviously because of the subject matter. But after various discussions and consideration, they decided that it was important that a film of this stature that covers, such an intimate part of Japan's history, they felt like they had to share it with Japan. So now it's definitely going to get released there. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because... Now, I don't agree with the Twitter poster is saying, by the way, but I'm just saying. Japan was apparently very pissed off about this movie. That's why they had not released Oppenheimer there yet, because they thought that movie was like making light of what they went through with World War II bombings and all of that. They compared it to like, what if Japan made a movie about 9/11 and then made a bunch of memes and jokes about it. And like, obviously they're using the Barbenheimer memes with 9/11. Like, apparently Japan was making a whole bunch of 9/11 memes in response to Oppenheimer. So it's very interesting that it's now getting a release date in Japan after Japan seems to have been like very pissed off with this movie. I'm super curious to see, like, are they gonna like this movie now? Like, is it gonna get canceled? Are people actually gonna see this? Like, what's gonna happen here? Japanese cinemas just want the cast, yeah. Prototype says, "Dear Lord, why did they get salty about the success of Godzilla minus one?" Funnily enough, I feel like Godzilla minus one is like the sequel to Oppenheimer in a number of ways. Um, Angel Barrera says it would be like if Japan made a Pearl Harbor movie, right? I mean, I don't know. I just had to bring this up because I was just like, oh boy. I don't know what they're gonna do. They seem very upset with this movie, but we'll see. They're releasing it there. If there's any like news about protest or whatever that spawn out of this, I will definitely cover it. But anyway, now we're getting to Deadpool. Because you guys remember what I talked about the other day, and that like there's been a bunch of lots of photos and leaks and stuff that have come out about this movie. And apparently Ryan Reynolds is super pissed off about it. This is what he had to say. I'm not going to read the whole thing again, but he did say that he was very upset. He said, "It's important for us to shoot the new Deadpool film in real environments using practical effects as opposed to making the movie indoors and digitally," which is good. As I've been saying, I want more movies to be more practical, but because they've been shooting outside, they've been having lots of like photographers and people like with telephoto lenses being able to take photos from long away. That's how we're getting all these like spoilery set photos that are coming out. I thought this would be the end of the story. I thought Ryan Reynolds would drop this statement and like that would kind of be the end of it. But he's apparently not done because now he wants to troll people. He tweeted this: "Deadpool began with a leak, so I'm joining in." First of all, I think it's hilarious that he's assuming here he was not the person that originally leaked the whole Deadpool thing in the first place, allegedly, but we all know it was definitely Ryan Reynolds. But please don't overuse the phrase Deadpool leaks because it might screw up search results if anyone's looking for Deadpool leaks or Deadpool spoilers or perhaps Deadpool scoops. So he's obviously trying to intentionally mess with the SEO here. He's saying don't use the phrase Deadpool leaks or Deadpool spoilers when you're using these very obviously edited photos he has here. I think they're pretty funny. Like this one looks like he has like, what is this, the Predator that's in here? He also has some other ones that he added, like this one here of him and Mickey Mouse. He made it seem like he's stealing money from Mickey or whatever. Again, Predator, but also he has this sign here that says, "Wally, lower the cue cards." Like he's adding a whole bunch of Easter eggs now. Like I don't even know what's going on here. He inserted something else weird looking, but he's now editing and tweaking the set photos to add gags and jokes to completely make the set photos look not real, like people could just completely dismiss them, or he's trying to make it so people accidentally, like people who are not super in the know like we are, might see something and be like, "Oh, what is that? Like, was that going to be a joke in the movie?" Like he's trying to sow the seeds of doubt in these set photos so people stop taking them seriously. And I just think it's really funny, and I've never seen another actor do something like this. See, Edgemon thought these were real. Exactly. He's trying to trick people because he wants people to stop focusing on the photos. And the way that he thinks he can do that is by, like, editing them and adding fake stuff to them. Like, obviously fake stuff like this, which I think is really funny. Again, I think Ryan Reynolds is a master at just branding and marketing, and this is just another example of that. Who else would think of something like this? Like, who else? Nicholas says, "Trolls hate having this ish they throw flung back at them, so do it, Ryan Reynolds." I mean, he is not lying low. Like, he is fighting back. He's fighting back hard. Donatez says, "Not gonna lie, I feel like a lot of movies from here on out might switch to filming outside, given how many flops we've had in the past years. They probably want to make these movies for less money." That's true, but what's the budget for this movie? They're filming a lot of it outdoors and practically, but I have a feeling the budget for this is still going to be insane, given how much this movie has to like cover and deal with. I don't know. We don't know the budget for this movie yet, but I'd be surprised if it's less than 200 million. Angel Barrera, thank you so much for the super chat. You joke, but this might be in the movie. True, what if one of these are like actually in the movie? What if this is something we all think is fake and then it's like actually in the movie? He could do that. Like, Ryan Reynolds is such a troll, he would do something like that. Like, 3 of these are fake and then 1 of these are real. We would never know. But that's kind of the whole point. He's trying to discredit these so we don't take them seriously. And I think it could work. Maybe. I don't know. I know Real Land filming outside isn't necessarily cheaper too. Like, it can still be very expensive. Prototype says we need to help him spread outrageous leaks and rumors so people don't know what's real. It's going to be like Morbius all over again. I don't think Ryan Reynolds wants his movie to be like Morbius all over again. I feel like he would take great offense to that statement. Scorpio Shadow says, I would love for Mickey Mouse losing his money from Deadpool. It would make a funny scene. It would make for a funny scene. Scorpio Shadow, oh, yeah, I already said that. But anyway, I will continue updating you guys on this sort of Deadpool leak saga. I do see some people mentioning that they think these leaks are coming out on purpose from Disney. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people say, like, they think these leaks are coming out on purpose so they can get fans hyped for the movie. Like, maybe Disney's the one kind of okaying this, and then, like, maybe it's Ryan Reynolds who's trying to fight back against it. I don't know. That sounds like a lot of speculation, but that is a theory that's being thrown out there, that this is like kind of like a Disney versus Ryan Reynolds war, where maybe Marvel/Disney really want more exposure for this movie, so they're willing to like let us a few spoilers go out so that fans can get hyped. Whereas I think Ryan Reynolds might be like, no, stop spoiling my movie. I don't want people to know everything before it comes out or get sick of it. So this is his way of, like, kind of trying to undermine them. Again, that's just a theory, just speculation, but I do see a lot of people throwing that out there that this could be what's secretly happening. Honestly, I could see that, to be honest. When these leaks first started coming out before Ryan Reynolds said anything, I honestly was thinking that these leaks were being leaked intentionally from Disney myself, because I was like, oh, they're just using this as part of their marketing gimmick. Okay. But I don't know. Do you think these leaks are intentional, or do you think they're truly accidental and they just can't seem to stop people from taking set photos? What do you guys think? Prototype says, I absolutely buy Disney would do that. They can't leave Ryan alone to make his movie in peace. They want to interfere. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Ryan Reynolds is very, very smart. He's very business savvy. I think not just being business savvy, but I think he understands fan culture and the Marvel fan base really well. And I think because I've been telling you guys for months now that I've had a very bad feeling about Deadpool, and I'm starting to see other YouTubers say the same thing that I've been telling you guys about. So I think maybe he's starting to see like the tide change on this movie a bit. And he's starting to get nervous, and that's why he's releasing all this stuff. I have no idea. I don't know. Again, it's all speculation, but if we're trying to read the tea leaves here, I do feel like there maybe is more to this than meets the eye. Yeah, Josh also think it seems intentional. Okay. The Free Rocket Man says, who knows anymore? I mean, all of this is just free marketing. I mean, hey, I've talked about Deadpool now twice this week because of these leaks, so they're kind of helping them. Anna Bear says they for sure they want to drum up attention for the movie. Exactly. Arvin says these leaks can be as real as Jonathan Majors saving the day video. I love that Jonathan Majors video. Nicholas says we're going to leak more of it, Ryan Reynolds, unless you let Deadpool unironically say Black Girl Magic. You know what? I just don't want, or maybe I do want, I don't know. Everyone knows at this point that Taylor Swift's going to be in this movie. I don't know how much of a role, like how big her role is going to be in this movie, but like she is annoying the crap out of me lately. I know I have some Swifties in my chat. I'm sorry. But after the whole Time Person of the Year thing and like some of the crazy stuff she was saying in that interview, I've been a long time Taylor hater, and like this year has been tough for me. I'm not going to lie. So like seeing her in this movie, on top of everything. It's like, really? You could at least leave the nerd shit alone? You gotta be here too? I'm so sick of her. I'm so sorry. The fact that I have to go see this movie and she's still in this. I can't get away from her. But anyway, that's an entirely separate subject. I almost made Taylor's entire interview for the Time magazine thing a subject on my show, but I was like, this isn't movie news. But I was like, this whole thing is absurd. But anyway, what do you guys think? I know Swifties are about to come for me. I'm sorry. Okay, Age of Men would just like a 3-minute cameo. I feel like that's all it's going to be. I do. But part of me feels like because she's so popular at the moment, they're gonna like try to expand her role bigger. I can already hear the screaming of Swifties. Yeah. Prince says, Brittany, I understand Taylor Swift is like Elon Musk's now everywhere and annoying. Oh man, I didn't even go that far. You just compared her to Elon. Although, I just saw a comment last night comparing her to Elon. So that is now the second time I've seen that. HB says Ryan Reynolds is one of the only people who could get away with that. He's doing it in response to the leaks. True, true. I hope her acting is better than what was in Cats. I really do. Okay, Nicholas likes Taylor over Musk. I do think she's much better than Musk at the very least. I just find her annoying and very fake. But anyway, speaking of celebrity news and the music industry, we're actually going to talk about the music industry a little bit because it's related to AI. And we're going to talk about Nicki Minaj. I think it was, who was it, the Blue Gecko Nerd? Was it you? Someone already mentioned the new Nicki Minaj album that came out, Pink Friday 2. Arvin, you mentioned it. And the reason why I'm bringing up Nicki Minaj, of all people, is because her fans have decided, since Nicki is not wanting to market this movie herself, they're going to market the album for her. And how they're doing it is with AI. So the reason why I showed you this album cover here is because her fans have decided to create AI-generated images of, quote, Gag City, which is supposed to be this pink city in the background here. And they have decided to make, since her album just dropped last night, they decided to make a premiere event in this digital fake city of Gag City. And I'm showing you some of the images here, and I find it absolutely incredible and super fascinating. So, first of all, you got, like, people showing up, like, saying, like, oh, people have arrived to Gag City. You have celebrities, people putting celebrities showing up to Gag City, like freaking Trisha Paytas, Michael Jackson. People had Michael Jackson show up to this fake digital city that was just a premiere for Nicki Minaj's new album. Like, this is some insane, I'm trying not to cuss. This is some insane stuff here. We have Ariana Grande apparently showed up to Gag City. You have Lana Del Rey showed up to Gag City. All these people showed up. Freaking the Mother of Dragons herself showed up apparently to this premiere. This is something that like was all over my timeline, all over Twitter. It was like multiple fan bases were like being a part of this. And I'm getting to my point in the end why I'm bringing this up on my movie news show, but I just have to show you these images. Peppa Pig apparently came to the Gag City premiere. Peppa Pig. They have rules. Apparently you need to have some sort of queen card to get inside. So like, it wasn't just like celebrities are showing up, but apparently this Gag City now has rules and governance. And like, apparently Nicki Minaj shops at Urban Decay. I don't know. And like, even freaking Dunkin' Donuts, the official Dunkin' Donuts Twitter page got in on this. And they generated an image of Dunkin' Donuts inside Gag City. I think this is such a weird thing to do, but also I think this is literally the first time a fan base has used AI to promote their artist's work like this to such a degree that now like actual companies and brands got involved, creating this like fake universe, essentially like a metaverse in a way. Like, I feel like Mark Zuckerberg is somewhere like, what the heck, man? Maybe I should have talked to the Barbs or something. Because they seem to have created the metaverse first. But anyway, we have freaking Nicki Minaj who is giving her I had a gag speech to the residents of Gag City about her album release, because apparently she's president here. I just think these photos. Yes, apparently Taylor Swift showed up as well. Um, I thought all of these were hilarious, and there's been multiple like articles from very established news sites talking about this because I do think this is a big deal in like the world of entertainment in general. Because if fans can now throw their own virtual premiere party and like have a bunch of virtual celebrities show up to a virtual city, and this was all organically created by the fans, by the way. This wasn't something like Nicki Minaj's team came up with. This was all something her fans came up with. Like, we're just now starting with all of all this AI stuff. Like, what's gonna happen with fan culture in the future? Even just a year or two from now, when we have like AI video that's actually really good. Like instead of just these photos, we could have had videos of like Nicki Minaj giving an I have a gag speech. We could have had videos of Lana Del Rey singing in Gag City, or we could have video of actual like Khaleesi riding in on her dragon. Like they could have made an actual like almost movie event out of this. I don't know. This just gives me potential of like it shows me the potential of where we could take this technology in the future and how fandoms are going to really be I think the first to grab onto it and use it. I think the future of fan-made content, fan videos, fan movies, like fan fiction movies, I think that's going to be a thing. I think this is just like a hint at what's to come in the future. What do you guys think about all of this? I mean, this Lana Del Rey one looks pretty decent. They literally created their own digital society. Like, I have never seen anything like this before. Nicholas says, is this another random Nicki Minaj thing Twitter made up? Like the time they decided Tom Holland was her baby daddy? Yeah, this is another, if you guys don't know, Nicki Minaj has an entire fan base called Barbs. I am not part of her fan base. I am not. I don't really listen to her music that much, but like, she has, I think, the Barbs must rival the Swifties for some of the most deranged, passionate fan bases on the internet. Like, seriously, what other fan bases doing stuff like this? I just found it very fascinating and I had to share it with you. Prototype says we need to nip this stuff in the bud, put some regulations on this AI stuff. Oh yeah, the fact that all of this is still legal is crazy to me. I mean, Trisha Paytas, she literally like commented on it, like, "Oh, cool, this is me." Like, all right, you're okay with this? Interesting. Scorpio Shadow says somebody make the Hunger Games. What? Oh, you want the Hunger Games in Gag City? You want to see Hunger Games fans' reaction? Oh my god. In the future, you'll be able to make a whole fan movie off of this. Like, I don't know. Like, imagine. Sorry, last thing I'm going to mention about this, and then I'm going to get to the member question. But imagine. I don't know. Just imagine. Like, even just 3 to 5 years from now. Like, say, as you're waiting for the next Avengers movie, like Avengers Secret Wars, or Avengers Kang Dynasty, if they actually make that thing. But, like, fans can make their own fan movies of what they want their Avengers, their ideal Avengers movie. Like fans can make their own ideal Avengers movie years before they can actually get to making the official Avengers movie. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's the future here. We're watching it unfold slowly, but it's happening. Any other thoughts on this before we move on to the next thing? I know we're probably going to get an alternate version to the final season of Game of Thrones. Nicholas says, why are they called Barbs? Where's that name word played for? Well, Nicki Minaj she calls herself a Barbie. Like, she's always talking about she's a Barbie. So I think that's why our fans are called Barbs, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, that's the AI news. I just had to share it because I was like, oh, this is something. This is very, very weird. But getting to the member question, this is actually about the Oscars, because I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts. Like, what movies do you think deserve an Oscar this year, since Oppenheimer is already starting to get snubbed? I'm very surprised about it. Do I have this? Okay. So, the first comment here from Cheetah Viper says, I've seen John Wick, Mario, FNAF, Megan, CB, and Teenage Kraken. The kids love FNAF. It was a perfect kids movie for children that can handle a little horror. I love John Wick, but I'm not sure it would fit into any Oscar categories. I'm not a huge fan of award shows anymore, so no matter who gets nominated, I won't be watching. I'm glad you're able to see Ghibli. I am getting to my Ghibli review in a minute. It's just the very last thing. Sorry, I am getting to it. Seems like, to be honest with you, I don't think, maybe except for John Wick with stunts, I don't really think any of these movies here deserve an Oscar. Especially Teenage Kraken, I thought that was pretty bad. But, yeah, I think for the first time this Oscar season might actually have a few movies that people saw that gets nominated. Like, Oppenheimer and Barbie are definitely getting nominated, so maybe that'll help the award show with viewership this year. Rhea Lynn says Across the Spider-Verse deserves to win Best Animation, and I think it can't be argued that they deserve a Best Picture nomination. It wouldn't win, but it would be the third animated film to do so. I wouldn't be mad if Nimona won Best Animation, but it's giving runner-up vibes currently. From what I've heard, Past Lives is an amazing film, and that alone deserves some nominations. I think Oppenheimer has a great chance at winning Best Picture, and Barbie deserves some wins too, mainly for costumes and set design, and Ryan Gosling. I would love for Godzilla -1 to get an International Film Award too. On the other note, thank you again, Brittany, for the live streams. They're so much fun to watch each week, and as something to look forward to. Oh, thank you. My department laid off some people this week. Oh, I'm so sorry. I still have my job. Oh, that's good. So I'm good, but it was a rough week. Oh, I'm so sorry you had a rough week, Rhea. That's really sad. This has been a great show to look forward to. Keep up the great work. Well, I'm glad that you like the show. I hope you're enjoying today's show. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think Across the Spider-Verse is probably the front runner for Best Animated Film. I think the only other film that could beat it is maybe The Boy and the Heron. But as you'll see in my review that I'm about to get to, I prefer Across the Spider-Verse by a lot. But we'll see. I think if anything can beat Spider-Verse, it's the Miyazaki film. But we'll see what happens. Shelley Lee says, I would bet my eye that you would bet my eye teeth that Barbie, Oppenheimer, Killers, and such will get a ton of Oscar love. The movies that I adored and would love to see in the Oscar conversation in any shape or form. 1, Radical and Amazing, based on true events drama from Mexico, and 2, Godzilla -1, my favorite movie of the year. Mine too. Number 3, 2018, a movie from India based on true events. Also in my top 11 for this year. I really, really want to see Jack Black on that stage singing Peaches, Fingers Crossed. I think we'll definitely see Jack Black on that stage. If Peaches doesn't get nominated for Best Original Song, I will riot. I actually want Peaches to win more than the Ken song, more than the Billie Eilish song. I really like Peaches, unironically. I think it's the best one. I know it's such a simple song and all he does is repeat Peaches, but like, I don't know, man. Jack Black just really did it with that song. He did the thing. I don't know what you want from me. But anyway, I think you're right. I think Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Killers are probably the firm leads for like Oscar nominations for sure. Thank you for being a member. Mia Motelier says, I haven't watched many good movies this year, but the best by far was Oppenheimer, so I hope Nolan takes a couple of Oscars home. If Nolan doesn't take at least one Oscar home, I would be very shocked. Oppenheimer should do very well at the awards this year. RuPaul's Drag Race Superfan says, Hey Brittany, I am coming to you after listening to the masterpiece of Nicki Minaj's new album. Were you a part of the Gag City stuff, RuPaul's Drag Race Superfan? Please let me know. I think Barbie hands down needs to take soundtrack, visual design, set design, best picture, best director, and needs to take home everything now. I know Oppenheimer is there, but Barbie was a moment. This to me is once in a generation. I actually completely agree with you. Out of all of the movies, if it can't be Godzilla -1 that wins, and I don't think it's going to get nominated, unfortunately, I'm actually rooting for Barbie the most, just because not only do I think it's a really great movie, but I think it truly became like a cultural moment, and I feel like that should be worth something. The fact that it had such a major impact, the fact that Barbie as a fictional character was a finalist for Time Person of the Year, all stems from that movie. And I think if we really want to make a statement about, like, you know, what is the movie of the year as far as, like, what was really in the zeitgeist, but was also really good, Barbie is right there. If Barbie won Best Picture, I'd be very happy, to be honest. What do you guys want to see win Best Picture, though? I want to know in the chat. Ria Rue says, I haven't really watched many movies this year, so I can't really say. If I had to guess, I would say they will give Barbie and Oppenheimer a win for sure. I have not seen either, but I hear most of them are good. I honestly think that this year's Oscars are mainly going to be between Oppenheimer and Barbie. I know Poor Things with Emma Stone has some heat to it, but I think it might be too small. Oppenheimer and Barbie really were just the story of the year, and to me, personally, I feel like if Godzilla -1 is not going to get the attention, it should be those two. The legendary movie critic says Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse needs to win for Best Animated Movie. Barbie needs to win for the Best Costume Design, Best Makeup, and Best Production Design. Oppenheimer is going to win so many awards. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 should win the award for Best Visual Effects. You know, I don't know if I would give Guardians 3 Best Visual Effects, but I wouldn't be mad if they won an award just because I really love that film. I just don't know if that's, like, the area it should get. I don't know. To be honest, just a nomination in that category would be enough. I don't really see Guardians 3 getting any wins, unfortunately, even though I really like the movie. I also think that the industry is very much against Marvel, so I think that's going to hurt Guardians 3 chances at getting any wins. Nicholas Wilson says, I have to question the relevancy of the Oscars, but Spider-Man definitely had one win? So do Sisu and Barbie. I'm not sure what Sisu is. Is this a movie I should see? But I definitely agree with Barbie, for sure. Evil Connor wants Hallie's Part of Your World nominated? Well, it wasn't an original song, so it can't be. If you want Hallie to get a nomination, they would have to nominate the original song that they made for the movie that Lin-Manuel Miranda made. I think it's called something like For the First Time or whatever like that. That would have to be the song that Holly gets nominated for. I don't think that song is that strong on its own, but hey, I don't know. Maybe it'll get a nomination. I'm still rooting for Peaches, though. Edgeman says, I don't know. I will be rooting for Barbie, Guardians 3, Nimona, and Spider-Verse. And I just realized that Disney might not get any nominations for Best Animated Movie because TMNT, The Boy and the Heron, Suzumi, Spider-Verse, and Nimona, and maybe Super Mario, are way better than those movies. This would be embarrassing for Disney. I think if Disney has any hope of getting a Best Animation nomination this year, it would be with Elemental. I can't see any of their other films getting nominated. Elemental is definitely their best chance, and if that doesn't get nominated, I think that would just, like, be the cherry on top of a very crappy year for Disney, for sure. Nicholas, oh, thank you so much for the super chat, Nicholas. Sisu gives me a small insight into the Finnish culture. Oh, it's a Finnish movie. Well, I have not heard of this movie. What is Sisu? Should I look this up? Getting back to this, Barbie says, not Barbie, Natanya says, Barbie should win for having the best set. Oh yes, best set design. If Barbie doesn't win for best production design, I really am gonna riot. Like, Barbie needs to win best production design or I'll be pissed. Like, hella pissed. Chevlon Jr. says, hey, Life in the Dream House. Oh yeah, Barbie, Life in the Dream House. Okay. Is this a song? Is this a Barbie song? I'm sorry, I don't really know any Barbie songs. But I'm glad that you also agree Barbie should win. I think I got everything. Yes, that is everything. So it seems like most of you agree with me that Barbie should get a lot of the nominations. I see a lot of you also really want Spider-Verse to get a Best Picture nomination. I don't know if that's going to happen just because the Academy is very much against both Marvel and animated movies being in Best Picture. So I think that's a tall order to ask, but I definitely think it can win Best Animated Film for sure. Okay, Susu is a good movie. Maybe I'll look it up then. Nicholas, you don't think Elemental will get nominated? If Disney truly doesn't get a single Best Animated Film nomination, that would be shocking. I feel like that, honestly, to me, would be the most damning thing that happened to Disney this year in a year where they had a series of damning things that happened. I think that would be truly a death nail. Because that would signal not just, oh yeah, you guys are having box office issues, but like, your stuff also genuinely sucks. Like, you can't even get Oscar nominations anymore. In your own field, like, Disney should be dominating animation, and they're not. So, that would be terrible. Any other thoughts on this Oscar situation before we move on? Sorry. Sugar Plummy says they're against superhero movies in general. Yeah, they are. Very much so. Like, the fact that The Dark Knight didn't get nominated is crazy. Red Banana Green says Elemental World is gorgeous to look at. Would love a game. An Elemental game in that art style actually would be fun, just for the visuals alone. Okay, Spider-Verse is going to win, yeah. Avatar 2 was last year, Prince. It did get a lot of nominations. In fact, it won Best Visual Effects, which, I mean, duh. But anyway, moving on to actually WTF news. I have 2 quick WTF news before we get to my Boy and the Heron review. So, WTF news. Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow continues to just be like, I don't know those Marvel movies. I just show up and do my job. I don't care about these movies. Because every time anyone asks her about anything Marvel, she's always just like, yeah, whatever. Like this time she said she's never even seen Avengers Endgame. She just stopped watching them. And I totally get, like, not watching Marvel after Endgame, but, like, you were actually in that movie. How have you not at least seen the movie that you were in? How? How is this possible? Apparently there was also some other time where she didn't know that she was in one of the other Marvel movies. Like, she didn't even know that she was in a Marvel movie. Not just, like, she hadn't seen it, but she didn't even know she was in it. What was it? I think it was the Spider-Man movie. Like, it was the first Spider-Man film. She was at the end of that one, right? And, like, she had no idea. I don't know how this is possible, but I just think it's really funny. Because she was just like, I don't care about those movies. I don't watch them. I stopped caring. Like, she's just, every time anyone asks her about Marvel, she's just like, I don't care. Okay, you guys are saying good for her. Good for her. All are interesting. I get not watching the Marvel movies that she is not a part of, but she was literally like a huge part of Endgame. Like, she had like a really sizable role in that movie. Angel Barrera says Barbenheimer should share an award. Wouldn't it be funny? Okay, it would be funny to me because I think people would be absolutely like go insane. But wouldn't it be funny if like they gave the Best Picture award to both Barbie and Oppenheimer? And they had like Barbenheimer come up on stage and accept the award together. I feel like that'd piss so many people off and it'd be so funny. I kind of want that to happen now because you guys know I love drama. I would be here for it though. I'd be here for it. Laura B says if she got a check, she should know. Right? RS Caleb says, to be honest, it has always seemed like Gwyneth Paltrow kind of phoned it in for the movies. Oh, she phoned it in. I think she phoned it in every movie except for like maybe the very first Iron Man. I think that's the only movie she tried. And then after that, she was just like, oh, I'm here for the check. And she made sure everyone knew that. And the other thing is about Hugh Grant again. Hugh Grant just keeps like talking about Wonka. And it's like, again, he's not really like saying what he should be saying. He's like kind of putting down the movie, putting down the characters. This is what he said. He said about Wonka's editing process. I don't know what the heck happened. Hugh Grant says he was sent a photo of a naked Oompa Loompa in the editing process of Wonka. It was one of the most disturbing things I'd ever seen in my life. And if it ever leaks out, a generation of children will be scarred. This is actually from Paul King, but the fact that Hugh Grant was sent something like this is what? Just what? This as soon as I saw this, I was like, this is definitely WTF news. Because why were they sending each other photos of naked Oompa Loompas? Now, this is something I do understand Hugh Grant being like, what the F about? Because, like, this is a huge WTF moment. And why is Paul King just like, yeah, this was a thing. This was a thing we did. Totally normal. Like, what? Like, what? Exactly. If I were him, no wonder I would be like, why did I sign up for this movie? I hate being an Oompa Loompa. I have to be in this mocap suit, and now they're sending me pictures of naked Oompa Loompas. Now I'm starting to understand Hugh Grant's... Oh no. Can you guys see me? I just had a message come up on my end that does not look good. Okay. Oh no. Can you guys see me all right? Am I still here? Do you hear me? See me? Okay, I'm reconnected successfully. Okay, you can? All right, because I literally just got a message that said like my service was disconnected, and I was like, oh no, oh no. Okay, so nothing happened on your end. I just had like a weird jump cut. Okay, well that's good. That's good because I was like, oh crap. Thank you for letting me know. But anyway, I can understand now why Hugh Grant apparently hated making this movie. Because why in the world were they doing these things to him? Anyway, I do want to get to the boy and the heron now because I feel like I've put it off long enough and the stream is already an hour. So let me get to the boy and the heron now. So, oh wait, hold on. Sorry. All right. Anyway, the boy and the heron. Now, I love Hayao Miyazaki movies. I think he is probably one of the best animators to ever live. I think that Spirited Away is probably an animation classic. It's a masterpiece. In fact, one of my favorite movies in general is Howl's Moving Castle. I saw Howl's Moving Castle twice this year, in fact. And one of them was actually in theaters because they sent the movie back to theaters. And I was like, oh, let's go see Howl's Moving Castle in theaters. Why not? Because I love the movie that much. So I love Miyazaki movies. I am well aware of how weirdly wonderful they are. I'm well aware of the uncanny, strange vibes they usually have. And like the unconventional Eastern pacing of it all. I'm very familiar with all of the Miyazaki tropes. I love Miyazaki. I feel like I have to clarify all of that before I get into my review because to be honest with you, I did not love this film as much as I was hoping to. I genuinely thought that I would go see this movie and like it at least close to as much as I liked Godzilla -1, just because I know Miyazaki is capable of that level of quality. So when I saw this movie, especially after having just seen Godzilla, I was like, oh my god, I'm about to see another great movie. This is a week for, I guess, Japanese cinema that I'm having here. So I sat down, I'm watching this movie, I'm watching the visuals. The visuals are amazing, like the animation, gorgeous, can't complain at all about the animation. It starts off with this scene where the boy is running in the flames, and it's like you could see all the wavy lines as the fire is burning. And you're just like, oh, this is really good. Obviously, animation is their strong suit. It's what they're known for. The visuals are gorgeous. The greenery is very Miyazaki-esque. Of course, Miyazaki movies are known for making grass and trees look so freaking gorgeous, and this movie is no exception. I have zero qualms about the animation itself. The animation is punchy, it's bright, it's everything they're known for. It's much more fluid and alive than what we saw in Wish. Animation, easily the best part of this movie. Easily. But unfortunately, the problem that I have with this movie is that I feel like all of the focus was on the animation and the world building, and we'll talk about the stories in a second, because the story itself is not the priority here. This movie is just vibes. It's just like, if I had to, like, the only other movie I could honestly compare this film to is Disney's Anastasia. If you guys have seen Anastasia, it's a series of shorts that focuses on unconnected stories where the main point of the movie is just to show off the beautiful imagery and the beautiful music, and it's kind of like watching a gorgeous poem. It's not really all that like exciting, but you can watch it and appreciate it for its artistry and its poeticness and all of that. But like as a story, as like an actual story, it leaves a little less to be desired. I kind of felt the same way about this movie. It was like watching a very beautiful totem poem, but like that's not like what I came to the movies for, you know? I just gotta be honest, that might sound a little harsh, but I really do think the story is the weakest part of this movie, and I will explain why in a second. Yes, the fire animation was incredible, I will agree. Government's name says the thing I've noticed with reviews of this movie is that it's a meh movie from Miyazaki, but a Miyazaki meh movie to a Disney is a wow, that's amazing. I know. If Disney had made this exact movie, I would have been like, holy crap, Disney actually did something sort of good. But because it's Miyazaki, I don't know. Honestly, even if Disney did make this movie, I still think I'd be a little bit bored with it. I won't lie, there was actually a guy in my theater who was audibly snoring, and he had to be woken up because the pacing in this movie is also very, very slow. But let me get to the story and let me explain what I mean. So, as I said, the movie actually opens with the boy and the boy and the heron. He's running through the fire during an air raid in World War II. So again, we're talking about another World War II air raid. It kind of reminded me a bit of Godzilla -1, just in the setting, because it does take place around the same time period. But he's running through the fire to try to save his mother, who is being burned alive in the flames. So the movie actually opens with his mother dying. And that's not really a spoiler because that's literally the premise and setup of what the whole movie's about. I won't be spoiling anything else that happens in this movie. I just had to give you that setup in the beginning because that's kind of what the premise is. The story opens with the boy's mom's dying, and he's very, very upset. And a few years later, his dad tries to find him a new mom, so he kind of like remarries, gets with this new woman, and he has to move away outside of the city to go live in the countryside with her. This is the woman here. The thing is, the dad's like almost always away, so he's kind of just left alone in this like foreign place he's never been to. He doesn't really know anyone. He doesn't really know this woman who's like trying to be nice to him. So he's very depressed. He even tries to hurt himself in one of the scenes, just trying to get out of doing work. He's like trying to process his mother's grief and all of that. But he's like in a very alien place with people he doesn't really know. That's kind of the setup here. And then he meets the heron, who is like this weird, like half bird, half man creature, very, very weird, who tells him that, oh no, your mom's actually alive. And if you want to go see your mom, you have to go into this really creepy hidden tunnel that everyone keeps telling you not to go into, and then you'll find her. So of course that's what he does. He goes to explore this tower, and that's how he ends up in this magical world. And that's where the majority of the movie takes place, and this is where I'll stop, kind of tell you details about the plot. Because to be honest, once you get to this point, the plot starts to matter a whole lot less, because it just becomes about Mojito here, that's the boy's name, just kind of roaming around in this magical world, meeting different people, running into various magical experiences, trying to find his mother. And like, that's kind of the bulk of the plot there. The plot is super, super simple. Like I said, majority of this movie is just about vibes. Like, just enjoy the beautiful animation, the gorgeous music, and like, I guess the nice Miyazaki vibes, because that's all you're really gonna get. From here on out, like, the story is not really like the center of what's important here. Nicholas, well, thank you so much. Disney's Fantasia. Did I not say Fantasia? Did I say something else? Did I say something else? I meant Disney's Fantasia, but thank you for the super chat. Who has seen this movie, by the way? I do want to know, if you have seen this movie, did you like this movie like me, or are you like me and you're just kind of like, it was okay? Star Film Studio says, I think Studio Ghibli is the best for animation, but they're not good with making stories. I don't entirely agree with that, because again, I love Howl's Moving Castle. I actually saw Howl's Moving Castle just recently, a couple of months ago, because I went to go see it in theaters, because I think the story in it is actually really interesting. And I think the characters in it are actually dynamic and interesting, and at least have a little bit of depth to them. Like, not crazy amount of depth. No, there aren't really a ton of Miyazaki characters that have a ton of depth. But I thought they were at least interesting enough that they could keep you interested in the story and what's happening in this world. With this movie, I truly felt like, unlike with Spirited Away, this world was just so freaking random. With Spirited Away, once you go into the magic world, there are at least rules and like how things are run, and like you kind of understand, like, you, after a while you start to get what this world is about, and like you get a grasp on it. With this movie, this magic world was just always so random. Like, you're always just kind of meeting random people. Oh, this is obviously the Heron, but like, the Heron was super random in this movie. Honestly, for a movie that's called The Boy and the Heron, the boy and the heron actually don't spend a ton of time together. Like, there's a whole section of this movie where the heron is, like, kind of gone. I don't know. It's a very, very weird choice. But there's a lot of, like, just random magical occurrences that happened that aren't really fully explained. And I get you don't have to explain everything. That's part of the magic of Miyazaki movies, is you're just supposed to feel, not supposed to apply logic to things. But at certain points, it got really frustrating because I kept trying to grasp what this movie was trying to tell me. I kept trying to grasp what was happening in this film. Like, we kept meeting random people and going on these, like, mini adventures, but none of it actually felt like it meant anything, or like it only very loosely tied to the overall plot. To be honest with to be honest with you, I kind of felt like this movie was a series of random but charming magical occurrences that this boy just kind of wanders into, that's all tied together with a very loose plot that is trying to say something very deep and meaningful, but like it never really gets around to what it's trying to say. I think a lot of the messaging in this movie is like heavily implied, like you as the audience are supposed to read between the lines, and like that's fine, but I think you still have to give us at least enough like to like grab with, that we can at least understand why these characters are doing what they're doing and why stuff is happening. Like, especially towards the third act, I started to feel like things were just happening just to happen and look weird and charming and whimsical, but none of it actually made any sense to me. That's why I think I was like completely like disengaged from this movie. I'm not even gonna lie. There was certain charming moments. Like there's a moment where he's dealing with some wood spirit people or whatever, and I thought that was a very nice charming moment. But again, it's like you have lots of little moments like that, but none of them really feel all that connected or like they make sense together. It was just, again, it's all about the vibes. It's just about the vibes. It's like Fantasia, basically. The boy and the weirdo, right? Like the Heron guy was so weird, so weird. Josh loves movies. Yeah, Spirited Away also has an incredible story. I love Spirited Away. This just is, it doesn't even have a story like Spirited Away does. Like, it really is just kind of vibes. Oh, did I say Anastasia? Oh, sorry, Arvin. I meant Fantasia, but I'm glad you guys knew what I meant. Anyway. Again, the boy is supposed to be going through grief. Like, he's supposed to be upset about losing his mother, and I guess everything he goes through in this fantasy world is supposed to be, like, about him coming to accept his loss and all of that. But I kind of felt like the emotion just weirdly didn't land with me. Like, I wasn't, for some reason, I've been getting a lot of, like, really emotional with movies lately. Like, I cried in Godzilla, I cried in Guardians, somehow I cried in the Hunger Games movie. So you would think these Miyazaki movies are usually deeply very intimate and emotional, and there's usually always, like, a moment in the movie where, like, it kind of tugs on your heartstrings. This movie, I felt nothing. I didn't feel emotional at all, even though it's supposed to be about, like, grief and trauma. It was just not... I felt very emotionally distanced from this movie, is how I would describe it. It felt like a very distant movie. Like, I feel like Miyazaki's entire focus for this film was just on the world building and the creature designing, and everything that was going on in this weird magical world he found himself in, that the story and like the actual characters became dead last in importance. And for someone like me, who I really need a good story and like a character I can latch on to really get into a movie, I felt like there was nothing that was connecting me here. At just a certain point, I think by the end, especially the last act, I literally was just kind of sitting there, letting it wash over me. Like I was just watching a beautiful, like, animated show reel, because the story and everything that was happening, I just no longer cared. And I couldn't keep up with what the heck was going on. And then it kind of ended very anticlimactically. Like, the last scene doesn't even really feel like the last scene. Like, when the movie actually went to credits, there was like a weird pause in my audience, because we were all just like, oh, that was the end? Like, it was a very weird anticlimactic ending. Overall, very disappointed in this movie. I do feel like this film was also Miyazaki, since this was originally supposed to be his last film, and still might be because he's very old. I feel like he wanted this movie to be like all his greatest hits. So a lot of the magical creatures that you find in this world are very reminiscent of other magical creatures he's dealt with in the past. Like on the left, you have the spirits from Princess Mononoke, but on the right, these are the new spirits that are in this movie, and they have a very similar design. There's several other instances in this movie where I felt like he was not, I wouldn't say copying himself, but I do think he was taking inspiration from his previous work. Like, I almost feel like if I really wanted to, like, psychoanalyze this movie, I would actually say this movie is about, like, Miyazaki trying to let go, like, accepting the fact that this is, like, he's gonna meet his end soon, and, like, I kind of feel like this magic world that the boy was roaming around in kind of represents the magic world of, like, that Miyazaki has created. Because, like, in a way, if I were to compare this movie to Wish in any way, I kind of feel like how Wish the movie was about, like, the girl Asha kept running into a bunch of Disney Easter eggs. In a way, this movie kind of is a similar situation where the main character kind of runs into a lot of Miyazaki tropes. I wouldn't say Easter eggs because they're not exact references, but they do feel like a lot of common Miyazaki tropes he's put in his other movies. Like this movie, I would say this film is probably the most Miyazaki movie that he has ever done. Is like everything that you know from him, everything that Studio Ghibli is known for is in this movie. I think because he thought this was his last film, he felt like he had to put like everything he had into it, and it does feel like I can feel the passion. I can feel that the creativity. I could tell he did care very much about this world he was creating and the animation and all of that. Like, I get it. I just felt like the story and the characters were really lacking for me, and that's why overall I have to give this a 6 out of 10. I know that's very low for this movie. That's very, very low for this kind of film. I get it. I get it. And it pains me because I also gave Wish a 6 out of 10. But I think for similar reasons, I couldn't connect with both of them just because I just couldn't connect with the story. And for me, story is like paramount over anything else for me. Like, if I cannot connect with your story and your characters, I'm probably not going to care for your movie. And the reason I still give it a 6 out of 10 is because at least the animation was gorgeous. The music is gorgeous. I love the artistry behind it. Overall, this is just not a movie that I feel like I've got to remember much, like, later, a week from now. I don't think I'll probably ever see it again. If I had to watch this movie at home, I don't even know if I would have finished it, to be honest. Especially in the middle. The pacing is so slow in this movie. Like, there's several scenes where it's just kind of like people walking into rooms and looking around, walking around some beautiful scenery, looking at stuff. And I get that's usually in Miyazaki movies, but the pacing in this was like, there was just too much of that in a row. And then not having a strong story to like make that stuff interesting on top of that, it just became very, very boring at times. Again, like I said, there was a guy in my theater literally audibly snoring, and the person next to him had to wake him up. Like, if you like Miyazaki movies, you'll probably like this one, I think. Or maybe you won't, I don't know, because I like Miyazaki movies, I didn't care for it. I think you'll at least appreciate the animation. The animation is great. But if you're not into Miyazaki films, if you've never got the hype, or if you've always been curious in them and you wanted to like try one out, I would argue this is not the first Miyazaki movie you want to see, because I don't think this is his best. I would still check out like Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke or even Kiki's Delivery Service. My favorite is Howl's Moving Castle, but like I would recommend any of those. Even Mary and the Witch's Flower, which is not technically directed by Miyazaki but is a Ghibli film. I love that one too. I'd recommend any of those over this one here. I think The Boy and the Heron, unfortunately, is probably one of my least favorite Miyazaki films. But yeah, that's my opinion. I mean, I gave it a better score than the Marvels, Arvin. I gave it a better score than the Marvels. Crystal Clark says, like I think, I remember to report that this movie originally was going to be only released in Japan. Well, I think they were releasing it worldwide because Miyazaki at this point has become a worldwide brand. This movie is actually planning to be opening at #1, which is super impressive for a movie like this, so more power to it. Crystal Clark says, I always felt this movie was a more for him rather than to the audience. Yeah, I get that feeling too. I never saw it, but I did see news for it and how long it took for it to come out. Like, you could totally tell he had so much passion for this. You could see the passion, but I feel like the passion was in the world he was creating. Like, the world building is where the majority of the focus and attention is put on in this film. Um, Angel Barrera, better than the Marvels, 2 out of 10. Interesting. Oh yeah, Ponyo. Edgerman says from the reviews that I heard that the movie, this wasn't really a book adapted movie, just some ideas. It is just ideas. It's not really like a cohesive, clear story. It's more like a group of ideas around a general theme of like loss and acceptance set in a Miyazaki magical world. That's how I would describe this film. Josh Loves Movies says Studio Ghibli doesn't need a mid-movie after Earwig and the Witch. I haven't seen Earwig and the Witch. Are you talking about Mary and the Witch's Flower? I really liked Mary and the Witch's Flower. I really liked that movie a lot, but I haven't seen Earwig and the Witch. The voice acting was good. I saw this dubbed. I mean, not dubbed. I saw this subbed, actually. So I had to read it with subtitles. I saw it with the original voice actors. So I didn't get to hear Robert Pattinson, even though apparently he sounds incredible. I saw it with the original Japanese actors. The voice acting was fine. I mean, it's pretty standard. I wouldn't say it's anything, like, noteworthy, but it wasn't bad either. It kind of looks depressing. I wouldn't even say it's depressing. I think, like, if you really want a depressing Miyazaki movie, like, watch Grave of the Fireflies. Like, that's a depressing movie. Like, I felt like there's way more emotion in that movie than this one. This one is just really, it's vibes and visuals. This movie is just vibes and visuals. Nicholas Wilson says, don't worry about getting emotional. My doctor had me on a lot of pain meds and I got emotional about complete nonsense randomly. Well, I hope you're feeling better, Nicholas. Edmund says, I don't understand how everyone just calls it a masterpiece just because of Miyazaki's name was on it. He has a lot better movies. I truly do think, like Spirited Away, for example, I don't throw the word masterpiece around. Like, I don't do that. You guys know I feel like I'm quite harsh on movies, at least. But if I had to throw the word masterpiece on anything, I'd put that on, like, Spirited Away. Like, I still don't... Spirited Away is a classic for a reason. This is nowhere near that, but it doesn't have to be. But the thing is, I don't even think The Boy and the Heron is as good as, like, Kiki's Delivery Service. Like, I still feel like that's better. You know what I mean? Oh, My Neighbor Totoro. See, My Neighbor Totoro is also vibes and doesn't really have much of a story, but I think the childhood innocence of it all came through, and that's why people really like that movie. This one doesn't even really give me, like, the sense of childhood innocence either. Like, I just kind of felt, to be honest, I felt really numb. I felt empty watching this, and that's the first time I've ever felt that way watching a Miyazaki movie. Crystal Clark says, "Oh well, no, not the plot, but with the creator and his creation, like how the movie is for his." What do you mean, the creator of the movie? I love creator of the movie. Once you guys see my top 10 for next year, you might see the creator on there. Oh, okay. You didn't like Spirited Away, Red Banana Grade. I do think Miyazaki movies are an acquired taste. Not everyone's going to like them, but I think to be honest, he makes really great stuff. I think if you can have an open mind to just being, like, taken away for a whimsical adventure in a fantasy world, he has a lot of really great movies for that. But anyway, that was it. That's all I had for today. Thank you everyone for coming to my show. Deeply appreciate it. Thank you everyone for, watching my live streams all throughout the week and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. You guys are great. I will see you guys on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as usual. Have a great weekend, guys, and I'll see you then.